Welcome. I am a lay Shin Buddhist who nevertheless maintains an interest in the broader realm of Pure Land and Mahayana Buddhist teachings. My YouTube channel is called Akala Akala, that is A-C-A-L-A, A-C-A-L-A. In these podcasts, I make a non-scholarly, humble, and sometimes bumbling attempt to explore a particular topic or question related to the wonderful Buddha Dharma. I hope you find them to be of interest. With that said, let us begin. So to finish out Article 1 of Reverend Kenryo Tsuji's Profession of Faith, he says, regarding Amida, to communicate with all sentient beings, he, that is Amida, grants this name, that is the Nembutsu, as a gift to all sentient beings, freely and equally. Sentient beings in every corner of the universe hear his name and accept it with a simple, trusting heart, the heart of faith. Amida's heart and the hearts of all beings become one and identified. This fact is the true assurance of our salvation and rebirth into the Pure Land. And then Reverend Tsuji goes on to explain why it is that a man who has faith does not become enlightened in this life. He says, the answer lies in the nature of man. He is still in his earthly body, subject to physical and mental limitations. So long as he is a relative and imperfect being, he can never become an absolute Buddha, perfect in every respect. It is therefore that the assurance of Buddhahood is given in this life, and the actual attainment of Buddhahood is realized in the Pure Land. So here, Reverend Tsuji reminds us that Amida grants his name, Namo Amida Butsu, quote, as a gift to all sentient beings, freely and equally. In other words, there is no discrimination between various classes or individuals relative to their age, race, ethnic background, and so forth. And it's a gift. It's not earned. It's not something that through works or practice we can attain through our own self-effort. A gift is not something that is earned. It is given freely. And he asserts that beings in every corner of the universe hear his name and accept it with a simple, trusting heart, the heart of faith. So here again we have the notion of entrusting. And we have the broad scope of Amida's reach to every corner of the universe. In other words, what this is doing basically is sort of narrowing the focus of this doctrine into this single practice, if you will, which again is a non-practice, that all the beings in the universe will have this opportunity, will be given this gift. And again, even the Buddhas, knowing that we need an easy path, a simple path, are also of a mind to teach this to the sentient beings in their particular portion of the universe. And by the way, I guess we could update this teaching from the standpoint of, modern cosmology and physics in terms of at least the theory that there may be multi-universes out there. We just don't know. There's so much we don't know, including, again, how this vow works, how this vow of Amida has the power through this name to be able to give us this assurance, this sense of being embraced and never abandoned. But, this is the sense, again, in which it's a matter of faith, or as Reverend Tsuji says, simple, trusting heart, the heart of faith. Now, he further says that Amida's heart and the hearts of all beings become one and identified. So we can perhaps take this to be a reference to the notion that this faith in Amida Buddha, this Pure Land tradition and doctrine, fundamentally it's non-dualistic. In other words, it's not that, there's sort of us down here and Amida up there someplace in the universe, and that we are separate beings, if you will, and that he is doing this for us or to us. We can certainly think of Amida existing in that Western paradise and that part of the universe where he created his Pure Land, but at the same time we can think of him as being in our hearts, being one with us, being a reflection of our Buddha nature, being a reflection of who we potentially could be if we were to be able to totally transcend our greed, our anger, our delusion, which of course we're not able to do according to Pure Land Buddhism. We're not able to do it even if we can get a glimpse of non-dual reality, even if we can have a sense of compassion toward other sentient beings or others who are suffering. There is, according to Pure Land Buddhism, no way we can maintain that wisdom, that compassion in an ongoing way every moment of every day. And so that's the sense in which we rely upon Amida Buddha and the power of his vow to allow us to be reborn in his Pure Land when we die, which, again, depending on the flavor of Pure Land Buddhism that you prefer, it can either mean rebirth in a place where, kind of like being in a sort of what I think of as sort of graduate school in a university, where then we're free of some of the obstacles that keep us from having to, struggle in our evolution toward enlightenment, and we can more quickly move in the direction of becoming aware of the prajna, the wisdom, the non-dual reality, as well as then the compassion that's associated with it. Or you can go with Shinran's basic concept, which is that, when we die, we immediately become a Buddha. We immediately attain that ultimate goal that's spoken of in the Lotus Sutra and in the other scriptures of Mahayana Buddhism. And in that context, what it is that Shinran says, we then, I guess whether you go with Shinran's notion or with the more traditional Pure Land approach, we then, once we become a Buddha, have the option, if you will, of making our own vows and, in effect, returning to this world to help beings in various forms in a way that we were not able to do when we were, burdened, if you will, with the lust and the aversion and the delusion associated with our, bodily physical existence. So what I've actually just been describing addresses a question that a friend of mine online had, which is, what is the difference between Jodo and Jodo Shinshu? Jodo is Pure Land Buddhism, and Jodo Shinshu is so-called true Pure Land Buddhism, the latter of which is what Shinran kind of refined to its ultimate degree of pure grace, rather than reliance upon practice such as meditation or good works. And what we see in the course of the history of Buddhism is a gradual evolution, and this is basically what Shinran points to in his writings when he talks about the 7 patriarchs. The first patriarch he identifies is Nagarjuna, who was the great philosopher and Mahayana Buddhist who first sort of emphasized emptiness or sunyata, as I've described it, being that sense of interconnectedness, or that sense that no being or thing is totally independent and possessing its own independent self-existence. And of course, Shinran then goes through the various patriarchs, and you can follow this through his Kyaogao Shinsho or his other writings. I've got some of these recited on my YouTube channel, which is Akala Akala. But in any case, Jodoshu, or Pure Land Buddhism, as reflected in Honen's teachings, who was Shinran's teacher, does emphasize the recitation of the Nembutsu, but there it's not so much good works or practice or meditation, if you will, but again, Pure Land kind of evolved to the point where the good work, if you will, was repeating over and over the name of Amida, Namo Amida Butsu. And of course, what Shinran then refined that to be is that really only one recitation of the Nembutsu is needed. And frankly, probably even not that, as long as there's that moment of entrusting, that shinjin, that is, again, the gift of Amida. So even though Shinran talks about having basically simply followed the teaching of Honen, he did, in fact, revolutionize and refine the teaching to a significant degree, in my opinion. So in this final section of Article 1 of Reverend Suji's Profession of Faith, he asks the question as to why a person who has faith doesn't become enlightened in this life. Well, he says the answer lies in our nature, and there's no question about it, that we are, as he says, in this earthly body. We are subject to physical and mental limitations. And again, I think these can be, in simplified form, characterized in the context or in terms of the 3 poisons. the greed, the anger, and the delusion that are associated with this earthly existence. So as he says, we are incapable, or at least that's my belief, we are incapable of becoming, quote, perfect in every respect. And this is the reason, Reverend Tsuji says, quote, that the assurance of Buddhahood is given in this life, and that the actual attainment of Buddhahood is realized in the Pure Land. With that, I will sign off by reciting the Nembutsu, in gratitude for being embraced and accepted just as I am by Amida Buddha, never, never to be abandoned. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.